NSC Fan TV, I'm here with Emma. 1-0 win over Montreal.
Second straight win away.
Another away win. So, Emma, we were talking during the game, particularly about Sapong and his coming back and digging the ball out and jumping on errant passes.
Yeah, no, I mean, he seems to be making all the right decisions when it comes to tracking back, working for the team. He seems to be having some fun in this poacher position. And, it's working really well. He didn't score today, but he created at least 2 chances off that kind of situation. What did you think instead of the main attacker, or at least supposedly main attacker, Rios?
So I thought that Rios could have had a better game. There were a number of times whenever he was maybe out of position. He was mostly sort of playing off of Sapong, sort of hanging to the right. There were a number of times where I think that he didn't quite have the ball quite under control. I think he relies a lot on his speed, and I'm not entirely sure that works all the time. It may be one of these things where it's like maybe he's not as fast after he's come back from his injuries, and so he relies on his speed from before. So I'm not entirely sure, but there seems to be something sort of not quite clicking in the game there. So just a small concerns about that. I thought that Mukhtar's play tonight, just as part of that front three, he was just everywhere. And you even had noticed him playing like really, really deep.
Yeah, no, I mean, he seemed to be not getting the kind of balls he wanted. So he was tracking back to acquire more balls deeper in the midfield. That worked, but that also created basically a rhomboid figure where there was a midfield of 4, and that left the 2 wings hanging way out there. They were really isolated for most of the game,
and then didn't get used.
Yeah,
and then especially Washington. I mean, it was almost like they didn't want it. They saw those pink shoes he was wearing, and they were like, "We don't get the ball. If you're going to wear those shoes, we're not going to let you give that ball." And it was weird. So there were just lots of moments. I mean, you were seeing it, I was seeing it. We were watching the game. We were like, why are we not using the wing? If we're going to play with someone out on the wing, why are we not using it?
Yeah, and I mean, it created condensation in the middle, and it made it easier for Montreal to recover the ball at odd times that created problems for Nashville.
So yeah, it did look like we had a lot of the balls going forward, coming up directly through the middle. There were a number of times we used some outlets to the wings. But yeah, it created a lot of just sort of tightness in the middle, and without McCarty really to distribute that ball, we were really running into some difficulties there. What'd you see in the defense?
So the defense was good. I think they were playing a little too low. They were going a little too close to the keeper. They weren't keeping the line too high. There were only 2 offsides called in Montreal the whole game. And with the kind of ball that we're playing, that didn't seem to be the right choice. You could have fished them out a little more. But I guess that's kind of what you get when you play 3 in the back.
Played 3 in the back, and they weren't really playing a lot of speed ball on us. Like, they weren't trying to drop balls in behind us, and maybe that was just because of the fact that we were playing deep and like making them hold on the outside. Some other questions about the midfield. So we were talking about the front. We talked about the. Let's talk a little bit about the midfield. What'd you see in terms of just some play? Did you see something really troubling? Did you see anything really inspiring? Did you see something?
I mean, it was an away game. They were never gonna, dominate the midfield. The kind of play we used at home. That's worked. They were mostly playing recovery, but they didn't have a lot of speed coming out of the midfield. I think the condensation problem was the worst. But I know that your main man was playing down there in the middle.
Yeah, I thought Godoy had a really positive contribution in the second half. Held the ball well, distributed it well. He had a couple bad touches here and there. But again, his main contribution is digging the ball out. So you put Godoy in there with Anunga, and that's a really strong defensive midfielder pairing. And I thought that kind of gummed things up for them. The trouble, I think, was that they also were really lacking in terms of midfield holding and midfield insight. And you know what? Both teams were missing their holding midfielders. We were missing McCarty and they were missing Payet. And I think that had bad consequences just in terms of how pretty that... Like, the game was exciting, but the game was rarely pretty. And I think that was because we were missing both of our really most creative, most intelligent midfielders. Them missing Payet, us missing McCarty had a negative impact just on terms of just the visual prettiness of that game.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was a Monday game. It happened to be played on a Saturday, but it was a Monday night game.
That's a nice observation.
So what did you think of the subs? We had some
Godoy,
more.
yeah.
We had some more playing time for Loba.
Yeah. So I think that he had positive play, and so I'm pleased to see him coming along. I think that he could I think that his contributions could be more positive more quickly than what we're seeing. The sort of the wait and see, be patient with him approach is one that I haven't been very sympathetic with. But he has been showing some positive signs. This last game was a lot of positivity from him.
Right. So let's play fantasy football for a minute. Okay. If Loba was to ever start in Nashville, would you want him to start alongside Sapong or alongside Rios? Who do you think complements it better?
So I'm unsure. I think that I would want Sapong starting. The question here is who plays better with Loba, and the answer is whoever the other better player is. So I think that the issue is not who's going to complement Loba. The answer is who's the better striker, and then Loba maybe can be a contributor. I think that he and Sapong had some good link-up play. I have to admit that I'm not entirely sure that I remember any link-up play between Rios and Ake Loba in previous games. I know that I have seen positive link-up play between Loba and Cadiz in other games, and so it seemed like they had good communication. I'm just unsure whether or not that should be a starting two for us, given their track record.
At some point,
it's going to have to happen.
Yeah,
it has to happen. But yeah, I think that if Ake Loba becomes the player he needs to be, I think a Sapong and Loba with Mukhtar playing underneath him, and then maybe Leal getting rotated in there at some point in time. Because I think that he should start every game. Anywhere in the front, Leal should start every game. I don't know why he's spending any time on the bench. That guy is awesome.
All right.
Okay, NSC Fan TV.